first time I watched this movie, my first thought when it ended was, did this have to be animation? Because this actually feels very grown up. We're dealing with mainly adults, besides like 22 is like pre-born, but she acts like an adult. This guy's like life goals. It's about like reflecting on your life from like an old age point of view, rather than the typical children's movies which are from the perspective of children. So I was like, did this really need to be animated? And the fact that, okay, even though we're going between soul worlds and real worlds and stuff, when we're in the real world and basically when we're in the soul world, we're basically just doing like normal things. We're walking to the thing, we're talking, we're getting a haircut, we're doing normal things that you could do in a movie that's not an animated movie. So my first thought was, did this have to be animated? But one thing I noticed that I think this movie deserves a lot of credit for, after I watched it a second time, that I realized is they take full advantage of the fact that it's animated. The story doesn't have to be animated. In fact, the script, when you just look at the words and what they're saying and actually doing, it really doesn't. It's very grounded. But whenever you're looking at the screen, they are doing things in the background, they're doing stuff with the characters where they're like, okay, if this is going to be animated, let's just have fun with it. Like that's like the scene I just saw right now where we first introduced to 22. And what they're talking about is, come on 22, like you need to, you know, find a purpose and go to Earth. And she's like, nah, I made Mother Teresa cry. I don't want to do this and this and this. But while they're doing that, while they're just having a normal conversation, she's like running around and this weird Picasso creature has like 10 different arms trying to grab her. I'm like, that's just like a creative visual thing to do while we're having a like pretty standard conversation. And that's one thing this movie takes full advantage of. It's just in the background, just with the design, just with everything you're looking at, even if it's not being spoken about or it's not really crucial to the story, it's just like set dressing or whatever. They take full advantage of, let's just make this as weird, and like you could not do that in real life. We have to be animated to have these weird Picasso creatures running around grabbing little souls and stuff. So it's like, okay, at least they're pushing it. Yeah, they're pushing it in terms of visuals, and that's what I really like. Even though they don't have to. This is a very grounded story, but they're still like, fuck it, let's go to an 11 with the visuals within this grounded story. And I appreciate that.
That's dope.
Yeah, so another thing that I felt the first time watching this is I couldn't really get 22 that much. I'm like, okay, this is just like someone that's just not about anything. They're just like a negative Nancy. And I'm like, okay, obviously the evolution for the characters, for them to learn to be more outgoing and find something that actually inspires them and all that. But what I appreciated the second time watching it, that's the thing, this movie actually, I don't think I actually liked it the first time. The first time I was like, yeah, it's good, but it just didn't connect with me. The second time I started seeing a lot of other things happening. And the one thing I saw with 22 that made me like her more is the fundamental design flaw of this entire pre-afterlife youth seminar thing, which is, and I guess that's the point of the whole movie, is 22 needs to go to Earth and actually live to learn to want to live. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, if you just go to a room where they tell you about things, that's not the same as experiencing that thing. Like that scene in the trailer where they're like, oh, you can't even taste food. I'm like, then how does anyone have a passion for cooking?
Nobody could.
Pizza. I can't smell. We can't taste either?
All that stuff is in your body.
No smell, no taste.
Or touch.
No one could. Like, I'm like, it's not like you go there and you can play a baseball match with a bunch of friends. It's like, there's just a baseball and a ball. You can hit it once and be like, okay, I like
do you
this.
like
and
it?
I'm like, but that's not the sport, you know? You have to actually live and do the thing to like get it. You know, there's a lot of things that if someone explains to you, it's like, that sounds kind of stupid. Then you do it, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I get 22 now. The second time watching, I'm like, okay, she had to actually do it to be like, okay, this is actually really cool. But before, everyone explaining it to her, I'm like, nah, I get it. Like, especially these people.
Who failed and now
now hate me. Mother Teresa.
I have compassion for every soul. Except you, I don't like you.
Copernicus.
The world doesn't revolve around you, 22.
Muhammad Ali.
You are the greatest. Pain in the butt.
Marie Antoinette.
Nobody can hurt you. Nobody.
Stop talking. My unconscious mind hates you.
Unlike
They tend to like philosophers and like world leaders and stuff.
the
And I'm like,
doctors and
yeah, it's like reading someone's autobiography. It's like it's not the same as
yeah,
living.
good for you, but
Yeah,
I
it's not
didn't
the same
experience
as-
any of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I like 22.
Yeah. What do you like?
I feel like I like her sense of humor. Like I feel like she has like a really good sense of humor, and she brings a fun out of the movie in a world where everybody just seems to be serious. It's like
You can't crush a soul here. That's what life on Earth is for.
it's just like I'm just gonna be this badass little girl just running around having fun, and I like her. Just keep on watching, but
Yeah. Well, we don't
She's my
even know if
favorite.
she's a girl technically. This little soul.
she's a girl.
She said she's-
By the way, why do you sound like a middle-aged white lady?
I don't. This is all an illusion.
Huh?
This whole place is a hypothetical.
I could sound like this if I wanted to.
Or sound like this instead.
I could even sound like you.
Life is so unfair. I don't want to die. Somebody call the ambulance.
I just use this voice because it annoys people.
It's very effective.
What did you think of the plot of Soul? Did you like it?
I liked it, but I feel like it also had some elements that they had set up that I think they could have tied back around. The main one for me was Joe's teaching. He's clearly got a passion for teaching, and I thought he was going to learn that, okay, yes, you want to play music and you want to do that and you want to be famous and all of that, but you also have this passion for teaching. I thought through teaching 22 how to discover her passion, he was going to learn that he already had what he needed all along.
Oh yeah.
Because there was that one scene where he's going through his like life memory thing. And he's like, wow, my life was so sad. I was just like sitting alone. And I'm like, you were teaching throughout this time, inspiring all these kids. Even that dude that invited you to that dream gig
Help you
at
get
that
it, yeah.
band was an ex-student that was like, you got me into this and you made... So I thought by the end he would learn that teaching was like
His true calling.
his true calling, or like I get that the whole message is like you don't need a true calling, so that's fine. But I thought he would somehow tie back to, oh yeah, I'm a teacher, and he never thought about it again. Like once it's like the gig, that's it, and that girl comes to his apartment to learn, but to quit firstly, and then 22's in his body and she talks to him and she gets him. Well, she doesn't really want to quit. She's just there to like talk it out, and then she rekindles her love for being in the band. But it's like that time Joe wasn't teaching. Like technically, when Joe leaves the school, he never really deals or thinks about teaching anyone again. And I was like, that's just a strange thing that I thought plot-wise you had set up and you didn't really tie it back, but that wasn't the point of the story. So I get why they did it. I just thought, it would have been a little neater, I think, if he found that a little bit more fulfillment in his life as it is. Because it seems like the lesson he learns is you don't really need a purpose. But I'm like, he's still like, shit, my life sucks. He needs to learn that it doesn't suck. Like, there's still other things. Like, okay, you want to play in this band, cool, but you still got a family, you still got this community, you got the dude at the barbershop. Like, people like you, people are supporting you, you're actually doing good in your community, and you're actually inspiring the next generation. And he never reckons with that. He never really thinks about, oh, I do have like a lot of stuff going for me. It's just like, well, you know, maybe a purpose, maybe you don't need one singular purpose. And maybe life is, you know, in the small moments. And I'm like, okay, the small moments are cool, but you have some pretty big moments too. You don't need to act like you don't have anything going for you, because you do. You might be able to sit on a sidewalk and listen to the breeze and be like, this is life and this is what it's all about, the in-between moments. And I'm like, sweet, that's good. But in between what? In between, going to go see your mother, who's supportive. At least by the end of the movie, she's supportive and she loves you and she cares about you. You know, you playing in a band with an ex-student of yours that got you that gig because you inspired him to follow his dream. And I'm like, the little moments are important, but you got some big moments, you know, and you shouldn't forget that. So that was one thing in the plot that I was like, could have tied it back, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
The only thing I didn't like about Joe, it was like how he was shutting 22 down whenever she comes up with things that she wants to do. Like, I like walking, I'll walk. It's like, no, walking is not your passion. Like, let the girl walk, okay? If she want to walk, if she want to run, let that be her passion.
And the thing was, the whole point of everything was to help her find her passion.
Yeah, but whenever she thinks of something, like, no, that could be it.
Why are you shutting her down? She wants that. Because the thing was, okay, we're going to help her find her passion so she gets her Earth pass, and then she gives it to you so you can go to Earth and she just gets to live wherever. And I'm like, if she wants to just walk, like, that's a type of passion. Because the thing is, if she finds a passion that's, like, really got her, like, I love this more than anything, she's not going to want to give up her Earth pass. But if she gets, like, a, sort of passion, like, oh, walking's pretty cool. It's like, cool. Get your Earth pass, give it to me, and then you can walk in the afterlife. You don't have to come to Earth to walk. Go walk there, you know? So I'm like, why is he shutting down this girl when the whole point of this whole mission was for her to find her passion? And then give it to you. So
I think it also goes back to how, in reality, you tell children you can be whatever you want. It's like, I want to be a singer. No, you can't pay a bill for being a singer. Be a doctor or something. I'm like,
it ties back to that line of, you can't crush your soul here. That's what Earth
this is for.
Yeah, like Joe's lived a long life and his soul is crushed. And he's just...
Another thing that I really like about the movie is their punchline and their little insult to Earth. I love it, especially when 22 is like, one thing I'm not a liar. I'm like Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, you're really okay being on a penny.
Well, of course, it's an honor.
Okay, but they put Andrew Jackson on the 20.
Jackson.
Of all the celebrity interactions, I think Abraham Lincoln was the best one. And he's like, oh no, I'm grateful to be on the whatever.
On the penny.
Those Jacksons on the $5. Yeah, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. That was great. I like the Lincoln person. I don't know that much about him. I know a little bit, but you don't even need to know that much about him to get that joke. Yep. It just works.
And I like when we're like introducing the souls and the kids that he has to mentor. They start by 1 billion and something numbers, like the long billion number, and then they come number 22. I'm like, wait a minute, you're like the 22nd soul created and you're still here?
Yeah, from day one, probably.
I'm sure Jesus is older than he's like younger than you.
No, she's ancient. She's gonna be an old soul when she finally gets into her body. But yeah, no, it's just that one song. I think that makes it even more momentous that she finally found the calling. It's like she's been around for thousands of years. Yeah, she's not a... Because if it was just like a yesterday soul, it wouldn't be that big a deal that he found her calling. But yeah, that's the thing. So some souls just gotta live to appreciate living.
What do you think of the idea of afterlife and before life? Because I was always like curious, like, where was I before I came to Earth? Like, was I like chilling and just having a good time being an egg in my mother's womb? I'm like, oh, that sounds boring as hell. And now they introduce the idea of afterlife. I'm like, I kind of like this concept. So it's like a daycare center for all our eggs before they come to Earth. I'm like, okay, I like that concept. Keep it going.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. It was definitely creative and unique to anything I'd seen in any other movies. But at the same time, I was like, okay, they were still very vague on how exactly it works. Like, it was just like the big light in the sky where you go if you want to die. And then there was the before place. But we're not really sure, is this like reincarnation? Do you go to like a heaven? I guess it doesn't really matter to the story you're telling. But the before place I thought was interesting in that it's like, firstly, I enjoyed the aesthetic of the whole place. I like how it was designed. I like those Picasso creature scribble looking things. And I also like that all the souls look like little children that were like all spongy looking. That was all cool. The only thing that I was like, that's a little weird, is the idea of like personalities before you live. Because I always thought it's like your life experiences that determine that. But they like, nah, we give you... It's almost like they put you on a track and then you can choose the route you take on that track, but you're still on that track. And I'm like, okay, if that's how they have to set it up for the story to work, cool. But if we're talking real life, I don't like the idea of that. If that's really how it works, I'm like, nah, man, because that almost seems like you're destined for certain things. I don't like the idea of destiny. I like the idea of we get to choose and change and become different people as we live, rather than some Picasso creature from the netherworld realm before we even live decided you will be a sociopathic whatever.
You're gonna be a murderer, you're gonna be a comedian, you're gonna be this.
Like actual psychopaths in the real world, it almost seems like, well, we can't blame them.
Yeah, they were born like this. They were made like
put
this.
them on the murderer track, you know? It's like,
I like that because it goes back to the normal argument that we have on Earth on a daily basis. Like, do you choose your own life or your life is already chosen for you?
Is there a plan or...
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess they try to make it seem like... Because even the whole message of the movie, of the idea that you don't have one purpose, or you don't have the... Or your spark isn't necessarily your purpose or what you're meant to do. Like that guy at the barbershop was like, I always wanted to be a veterinarian and help animals and stuff. And it's like, but now I'm a barber, but I still feel fulfilled in that life. So you can still choose, you can still change. So the movie still arrives at that conclusion at the end, that it's up to you, really. But the way they've built the world, it seems like almost contradictory. It seems like they're saying, no, there's certain things that are like ingrained in you before you even take your first breath, but then I guess they're not permanent, or within that there's still variation which you can still take.
The one thing I accepted with the movie when it comes to Before Life, I just looked at it as like, okay, this is just daycare. Okay, all of this is like preschool, where they just make you run around and do things to keep you busy until your mommy and daddy decide to do something to bring you over to the world. So I'm not gonna take them seriously. I just wanna look at this like a daycare center for the eggs and the soul.
Doing something important,
but they're really just not.
They're trying to tell.